Hello all. This is for Projective Techniques, Hood Chapter 12 in Assessment 511. And this is Dr. Doolin. Let's first discuss the projective hypothesis. The projective hypothesis states that responses to ambiguous stimuli reflect the person's basic personality. People are thought to reveal more about themselves in the interpretation of the situation than the situation itself. What that means is a person's process oftentimes leaks out when they're presented with something that they're unsure about. And as a result of that, in focusing on the unsureness of the situation, their true motives or their true intentions oftentimes leak out. And this is why this is expected to reflect and reveal needs, experiences, and inner states and thought processes and sometimes interactional processes that are going on between people. Now, in projective testing, there are a variety of ambiguous stimuli, including ink blots or IP ink blots, interpersonal ink blots, pictures, and incomplete sentences. I almost did my dissertation on a particular set of interpersonal ink blots, and that would have been very interesting, but I found some other phenomena more interesting, so I decided not to do them. But it is interesting how if people can project themselves onto interpersonal situations, it gives you information about some of their true intentions and motivations. However, there's also growing controversy regarding the shortcomings of projective testings and how they can harm clients through poor assessment decisions. That's cited by Garb, Wood, and Lindenfeld and Nezerwitsky, 2002, page 500 or 454. Next, we're going to be talking about the Rorschach inkblot test, which is the most famous of all the projective tests. It was developed in 1921 by Hermann Rorschach, a Swiss psychiatrist. He developed 10 ink blots. Some were colored, some were not. And they scored for location. Well, actually, at this point, what is done now is a researcher by the name of Exner, and he's developed a system that truly has operationalized the Rorschach inkblot test and has some predictive validity with regards to a person's inner process. They are scored for location, such as part or whole, the whole of the blot. For instance, on this slide right here, whether or not you're looking at the entire blot, which the main ink blot interpretation for most people is like a mask or a Halloween type of scenario as well. So if they broke it down like half of the blot, on one side, for instance, might they see a wolf or a dog's ears. On the other side, they're using that part of the blot as opposed to the entire thing, such as a mask. So the second is the determinant. Which feature or color of the blot are they talking about? For instance, on the second blot, this second Rorschach ink blot, at the top there's red colors. Some people, I saw a very creative interpretation. There are two elephants touching their trunks up in the air, and they have little hats here, and those hats are red colors, and so that's the reason why they thought that they were hats. So they had to determine the determinant, which feature or color, which led them to that conclusion. Is it the general shape, like the form, or is it have to do with color, for instance? The next area is content. Are we looking at cartoons, animals, organs, etc.? For instance, in the third blot, oftentimes people are seen. So the content of two people, popular is it can be a jungle scene, two women holding a pot and a butterfly in the middle and two monkeys or squirrels or something jumping on the side. On this situation, a lot of this would be based on form or content. Popularity. What are normal responses? Again, back to this scene, this is the most interpersonal of the ink blots because it has to do with two people that looks like as well. The most popular, for instance, is card number 5, which is either a bat or a butterfly. Almost everybody says either a bat or a butterfly on that response. Exter's comprehensive system is the most used system, most widely used system, and considered has great interscore reliability. Meta-analyses for validity studies revealed that Rorschach is superior to the MMPI in predicting objective criterion variables, such as psychosis. It requires extensive training and experience, and it continues to be controversial with the mixed reviews. Let me give you an example of what we're talking about when we're talking about predictive variables. Actually, we have to go back here. Some of the criterion for psychosis has been whether a person, how they put together perceptual stimuli. So for instance, if a person says on ink blot number 1, well, this looks like a dog. And they go to the left side here, and rather than two dogs that are split, they say something, this side over here, the right side looks like a dog, so the rest of this must be a dog, without being able to put together why it would look that way. That's what's called a confab response, and can be very much indicative of psychosis, where a person is not able to put together stimuli very clearly in their mind. So it indicates some mental confusion in that situation. If we go through the ink blots here, we talked about 1, 2, and 3. This is number 4. One of the popular responses are Godzilla. I've seen a person riding a motorcycle. And part of the responses that go into the Rorschach is their movement. The guy's on a motorcycle and he's moving. What makes it look like Godzilla? There's other determinants such as, is there texture? And Rorschach in his development, or excuse me, Exner in his development of his system has put together these equations and different kinds of responses that can be indicative of psychosis or other kinds of problems, maybe brain damage, such as a person focusing on the very small details and generalizing them to the whole. Like here on number 4, card number 4, you see 2 arms here, 2 limbs here, and sometimes people have said this looks like a penguin on the side. So therefore, again, the rest of it must be a penguin, even though it doesn't match that.